Friends, today we'll discuss the stasis, a trigger, and the quest matrix. In the last episode, we discussed stasis, its dictionary meaning, which I had explained as a period or state of inactivity or equilibrium, a state of static balance, or even a state or period of stability during which no evolutionary activity takes place. I also explained how this principle was used by me while penning down my novel. I had mentioned then that it is the period when the story begins. Different writers have their ways to begin the novel. Most novelists will begin their novels by describing a set scenario, a state where no significant change happens, but a general introduction is given to elaborately set the scene for the novel and perhaps even briefly describing the characters, people and people's equivalent. To further the story or even to let the story get a kickstart, it is all up to the writer to imaginatively describe the stasis. The reason I am discussing these aspects repeatedly is to make future aspects related to the story clear to the viewers. Creative writing is a long and arduous process requiring a good amount of acumen and imaginative thinking coupled with laborious research to carry forward the story. It is a love of labor and certainly not a quick fix solution that a computer can download and offer. Much like paintings, music, or dramatics, this requires a proper mental disposition, together with a zeal of a maverick, an independent challenging the norms to take his or her work forward. Even if one has made detailed plot choices, it is not infallible that a single wrong choice would render the hard work getting wasted. We have seen how a trigger kickstarts a story. I had spoken at length as to how a trigger, an event happening, good or bad, can carry the story to an action mode. An event that is perhaps not in anybody's control. Neither the protagonist nor the other characters that may have been introduced. The event simply works as an independent entity, independent reality, which defines and controls the later events or aspects in the novel. In my novel, the trigger has been the aspect of monsoons and the relocation of my protagonists from one country to another. The event or happening in my novel was not a happy occasion, but an event like floods all around. which had created panic and disillusionment for my protagonist. To counter this disillusionment, I had to create a quest or a search to restore the story onto a new stasis point. As my story was of a catastrophe, I had to restore a happy stasis. That brings us to an introduction of the quest. What is a quest? If you look up again into the dictionary meaning of the quest, it truly means a long or arduous search for something, a pursuit to find or obtain something. Courtesy the Cambridge English Dictionary. What is it that one is finding, seeking, would depend on the storyline. In my entire novel, Together with You Forever, I redefined the quest many times. However, the basic search or quest had been always towards bettering my former quest, to find a happier quest. This approach gives the writer the leverage to try more options around exploring or examining the pursuit further. To give a concrete example from my novel, and I'd love to read through my novel, look at another small trigger here which leads to a new quest. Chapter 3, at the Oriental Hotel. Something very mysterious happened at the Oriental Hotel. Robin, quite by chance, met an old friend, a girl, Pooja Malhotra, the daughter of the Indian business tycoon Shailesh Malhotra. Pooja had studied with Robin at the FY junior level at the St. Bishop's College in Mumbai. One may feel it is another short trigger. However, it is an introduction to a new character. There is a brief conversation between the protagonists, Robin and Pooja, as below. "Hi Robin," said Pooja. "Hi Pooja. What a surprise," said Robin. Robin asked himself, is it by chance or by providence that I have met Pooja? Was it in some way a dream or his imagination? One would notice that this question itself has an implied search or a quest. The answers to this quest would certainly lie in this chapter or in the next chapters, but would help the story to move forward with more searches. As the story moves forward, the quest increases in intensity, leading to more unknown searches. This is the reason I discussed the aspect of critical choice right at the beginning. One may feel that there are two protagonists in my novel. Many writers include more than one protagonist. This is to confuse the readers as to exactly which one is a true protagonist, the hero or the heroine. This is a time-tested method of creating the reader's interest in turning pages after pages as the novel progresses. You must have noticed that keeping the reader's interest alive and the reader involved in the plot as it progresses, along with a storyline, is the primary requirement of the writer. Having understood this major aspect, where the story would essentially begin and take shape later as it progresses, we would move in the later videos to more interesting aspects of the creative writing process. Hence, I wind up a long stretched video, a very long stretched video enumerating the vital aspects of stasis and the trigger, and again introducing the quest. We'll now discuss the most important aspect of surprise as we go ahead in the creative writing series. Thank you.